You guys know that I am a big fan of Klipsch, specifically their heritage line of products, not to mention their more lifestyle-oriented stuff like soundbars and powered speakers. That being said, we haven't really talked a lot about their core lineup of products, specifically the Reference Premier line of speakers. Well, that changes today. So settle in, hit that like button, and subscribe if you're not already, because today we are reviewing the Klipsch Reference Premier 8000F floor standing loudspeaker. Now, the 8000 is a two-way tower speaker that features a 1-inch titanium tweeter sitting inside a horn waveguide. Now, mid-range and bass is handled by the speaker's dual 8-inch copper cerametallic woofers, which also help to give the speaker its trademark look. Now, a rear port plus the speaker's driver complement give it a reported frequency response of 32 Hz to 25 kHz, which is almost full range. Around back, you are going to find dual binding posts. That means this speaker is bi-amp and bi-wire capable, something that is bound to please some die-hard audiophiles, though given its rated sensitivity of 98 dB, you don't have to go crazy with respect to power. At almost 4 feet tall and nearly 18 inches deep, the 8000 is a big speaker. And if it sounds too big for you, know that there are smaller options in the 6000, 5000, and 4000F, though none of those three speakers are going to play quite as low as the 8000 will on its own. Now, for two-channel listening, we paired the 8000 with our name Unity Atom, the Yamaha S1200, the Musical Fidelity M5SI, and a budget stereo receiver from Sony. And for home theater use, we added in the 600C matching center speaker, and we powered the whole thing using Sony's 2100 ES AV receiver. Now, we streamed a lot of music either through the Unity Atom or the Auralic S50 Pro, all of which was done on the TIDAL app. And for analog playback, we relied on our Audio-Technica LP140 XP turntable, but we have fitted an Ortophon 2M black cartridge to that. And if you missed any of that, links, as always, are down below. While the 8000 may be a large tower speaker, it's not unruly. It's incredibly well built. Ours was finished in walnut, which it's a little bit dark for my taste, but I do prefer the walnut over the ebony and gloss piano black. But keeping things at 100, I do wish that Klipsch would bring over some of their heritage line of speaker finishes to the RP line. I know that this would probably increase the price of an already rather affordable loudspeaker, but if you're going to go out of your way and call something a Reference Premier series, I do think that the looks need to match the name. Also, I think doing this will help distinguish the RP line from the rest of Klipsch's loudspeakers. Now, because these speakers are rear ported, they do require a fair bit of space in order to breathe. I recommend pulling them out away from your front wall at least 18 inches. I know it can be very difficult to judge distance in the B-roll, but ours rested 20 plus inches away from our front wall. Now, more so than probably any other Klipsch loudspeaker, the 8000s need to be fairly aggressively towed in for two-channel listening. I ended up with the speaker's tweeters pointed directly at my listening position. Now I'm going to answer a couple of questions about the 8000 that I know you're bound to have, so let's just get them out of the way really quick. First, do the 8000s play loud? Yes. Do they play loud without distortion or strain? Absolutely. Do they kick like a Clydesdale down low? You bet. Do I need an expensive amplifier to get the most out of them? Not really. And are they good for home theater? You bet your ass they are. So what makes the 8000s so special? For me, it comes down to one key specification, and that is sensitivity. At 98 dB, it just doesn't take a ton of power to get the speaker up and running. And at low volumes, music and movies manage to still sound alive. And this is one of the key things that impresses me most. It's not the speaker's tonality, bass response, or whatever. It's just the fact that through a Klipsch loudspeaker or through the 8000s themselves, music and movies just hit differently. So I'm not saying that Klipsch makes the finest loudspeakers in the world, but whether or not you have a beer budget or Klipsch horn type money, a Klipsch speaker has character. And that character is born out of a live sound. So while it may have a substantial physical presence, the 8000 does possess a delicate side. Properly set up, it is possible for this nearly 4-foot tall beast of a loudspeaker to completely disappear orally. And with the right amount of toe-in, center imaging is next level. And the definition and delineation to its soundstage on the whole is fantastic. Now, because this is a big speaker, obviously it can play big musical passages very loud and at proper scale. But if you're not interested in taking things to 11 or you don't want to piss off your neighbors, well, it's good to know that the dynamics and everything scales downward as well, enabling you to listen at low volumes just as easily. Breaking it down, the 8000's bass performance is solid. This is not a speaker that just barely hits the threshold of its capability. No, it hits its marks with confidence. So bass is deep, but also very quick. Now the bass is one area where I did find that having a beefier amplifier did pay dividends. Bass was totally acceptable through the name Unity Atom, but through the Yamaha S1200 or Musical Fidelity M5SI, it was notably better. So all three amplifiers kind of possess the same amount of detail and nuance in the bass, but through the Yamaha and Musical Fidelity, it was definitely deeper and had far more dynamic snap. So should you pair a subwoofer with the 8000Fs? For home theater use, I say go for it. We did. We paired ours to the Yamaha S810 with great results, but for 2-channel music, I'm actually a little bit hesitant to pair these speakers with a subwoofer because you don't want a subwoofer dragging them down or making them all bloated and weighty. You want a subwoofer that has the same speed and attack that the 8000s have on their own, and these types of subwoofers can be harder to come by. And if you do manage to find one, they're often very expensive. To give you an idea, I'm thinking like at a minimum SVS's flagship subwoofers, but if I'm being honest, I'm actually talking more about subwoofers along the lines of JL Audio's Fathom or Gotham subs, which are hugely expensive, costing way more than the 8000s themselves. And as a result, I don't think a lot of people are going to pair that level or caliber of subwoofer to a speaker such as this. So for home theater, for movies, you don't have to be crazy picky about a subwoofer. But if you want a subwoofer that's as musical as the 8000s, you have to probably spend a fair amount of money, in which case I would say that the 8000s play deep enough on their own that you may be able to get away without needing a subwoofer for 2-channel listening. When it comes to vocals in the all-important mid-range, choice in amplifier didn't seem to matter as much, provided we are talking about a neutral-ish type of amplifier, not one that has color of its own. For example, a tube-based amplifier or, say, a vintage piece like our Pioneer 450. I just love the way that vocals sound through a Klipsch loudspeaker, and the 8000 is no different. Now, it may lack some of the immediacy and absolute transparent presence of our, say, Heresy Mark IVs or the Scalas that we have in-house, but the 8000 does get very close. But yes, it is giving up some of that transparency due to the fact that it just doesn't have that horn-loaded mid-range. But as a result, the 8000 is far more forgiving of a wider range of source material. So in the end, the 8000's mid-range is detailed, nuanced, and intelligible. It's a little bit warm, ever so slightly dark of neutral in direct comparison to, say, Klipsch's horn-loaded loudspeakers, but for what it is, it's pretty impressive. Now, Klipsch is often criticized for their high-frequency performance, but the 8000's tweeter I found to be very composed, if not a little bit round or rolled off in spots. The 8000's high-frequency performance is not going to fix a bad recording, but for 95% of what I played through these loudspeakers, I found the tweeter completely agreeable. It wasn't harsh or fatiguing at all. If anything, it was airy and rather sweet, and it only gave up, say, about 5% or so of absolute transparency to its costlier siblings, the Heresy 4 and La Scala. I just absolutely love the speed and articulation of this tweeter, and it lends, well, an organic and real in-room presence to things like cymbals and the top-end snap of a snare drum. So you give me that high-frequency performance and you couple it with a loudspeaker that is dynamically captivating like the 8000, and you're going to win me over every time. The only real caveat I have about the 8000 is this. Because of its size and relative affordability, I think people are going to buy it, treat it like a party speaker, and just turn it up until their drywall cracks. And you can do this, the 8000 will let you, but you don't have to do this. In fact, any speaker is going to start to sound a bit brash the more you get to or past 100 decibels, but the 8000 isn't a speaker that has to be played loud. In fact, if you treat it more like you would a high-end loudspeaker, I think you're going to find that the 8000 is not a one-trick pony. And in fact, it is capable of running with some truly high-end towers. Like I advised earlier, be prepared to experiment a little bit with placement, specifically toe-in. The dispersion of the 8000s is good, but with proper placement, it goes from good to great. And trust me, you're gonna know when you get it just right. Now, you don't need a lot of power to bring this speaker to life, but more power does pay dividends in the bass department, so I am recommending an amplifier of say 50 watts per channel or greater for best results. You're just going to want to make sure that that amplifier is on the quieter side, as is the case with any high efficiency loudspeaker. If your amplifier isn't up to snuff, you'll probably hear some high frequency or tweeter hiss while at idle. Comparing the 8000s to similarly priced loudspeakers in the Yamo C97 Mark II or S809, all three loudspeakers are dynamic and punchy, but the 8000 it's more balanced, more neutral, thanks to its better bass response, not to mention more refined top end. Taking finish off the table, I think that the 8000 actually manages to match the performance benchmarks set by the Q Acoustics Concept 500. And in many respects, especially with respect to dynamics and low volume listening, I think the 8000 embarrasses the 500. Now, the 500 is a little bit smoother up top, and as a result, it pairs nicely with a wider range of source material, but that one caveat aside, I think the 8000 is as good, if not better, than the Concept 500. I even thought that the 8000 sounded, well, truer to life and were more engaging than Polk Audio's L800 flagship towers. The L800s are just way too finicky in comparison and are by no means as captivating as the 8000s at low volumes. And the same is true of the Bowers & Wilkins 702 signatures. The 702 is the better looking, better built loudspeaker without question, but you have to throw an ungodly amount of power at that loudspeaker to get it to come to life. Once it's awake, it sounds brilliant, one of my all-time favorites, but the 8000 just gets to that point so much quicker. The Klipsch Reference Premier 8000F is both beauty and beast. It definitely has the looks and can play the part of the back alley brawler, but inside I do think that it just wants to dance. Because I can hear you, Klipsch faithful, right now saying, that's all nonsense, Andrew. Look at it. Just look at it. It's huge. It's big. It's got big 8-inch drivers. You should turn it up to 11 and piss off the neighbors. That is the Klipsch way. And it is fun to do that, but I do think that you are missing out on a lot of what this particular loudspeaker is capable of by only looking at it through that lens. In fact, if you were to pay it the same respect you would, say, a true high-end loudspeaker, I think that you're going to find that it competes very favorably with some of the best towers on the market. It's not perfect, but it manages all of this at a far lower price. So when you look at it through that lens, the 8000 isn't just a great speaker. It's an insane value. So that's it. That is our review of the Klipsch Reference Premier 8000F floor standing loudspeaker. What do you guys think? Let us know down in the comments below. And my question of the day for you is this. What would you do, or what do you think Klipsch needs to do in order to elevate the 8000F into kind of that reference or audiophile tier of credibility? Let me know. I really am curious. Also, bonus question, this being the day before Thanksgiving, what is your favorite Thanksgiving side dish? Let's get a list going. If you liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and be sure to ring the bell so that you're notified when new videos come out. We wouldn't want you guys missing any of them. Also, we are still helping to raise money for Feeding America. So be sure to click donate before you leave this video and go do whatever it is you have to do today. So far, you have helped us to raise over $1,200 in a little over a week. So thank you very much. But if you haven't yet donated, now is the time. Click donate. 100% of your donation goes to Feeding America and helping those who are less fortunate have a meal this holiday season. If you used any of the links that Christy left for you down below, know that that is a great way that you have continued to show your support for this channel and the work that we do here. And both Christy and I thank you all very much. Follow me on Instagram at Recovering Audiophile, and that's it. So remember, the only person that has to like the sound of your system is you. So happy listening, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great Thanksgiving. Be safe, wear a mask, and we will see you on the next video. Bye.